In this paper, we present techniques for modeling and rendering feathers and birds. Here you see a bird modeled and rendered using our system. First, let's see how to model and render individual feathers. Our work is motivated by the observation that a feather is a branching structure that can be described by an L system. We derived an L system that allows the user to easily create feathers of different shapes and types by adjusting a few parameters. The randomness in feather geometry is also modeled in our L system. For realistic rendering, we combine the L system with a bidirectional texture function, or BTF. The BTF models the geometry details on the feather blade. The BTF is calculated offline and used for efficient rendering with graphics hardware. The synthesis of a feather is based on feather anatomy. The shape of a feather is defined by its rachis and the barbs distributed along both sides of the rachis. Here we show an interactive editing session for creating a feather. You can see that it's very easy for a user to control the shape and characteristics of a feather. Here we show the effect of randomness. The feather on the left has no random gaps on the blade. The feather on the right has random gaps on the blade and looks more realistic. Here are several feathers generated using different parameters. For realistic rendering of feather appearance, we built a geometric model for the barbule structure on the feather blade. From this geometry model, we compute a BTF. The L system provides all the barb curves on the feather. Each barb curve is rendered as a quadrilateral strip. The pre-computed BTF is used to capture the fine geometry details of the barbule structure. The feather on the left is rendered without a BTF and it looks flat. The feather on the right is rendered with a BTF and it shows the barb structure. Now we describe how to create feathers to cover a bird's body. From a geometry model of the bird, we find the feather growing positions using a biased retiling technique. The initial feather orientations are interpolated from the user-specified key feathers. The wing and tails are constructed using simple skeletons shown in red. The final feather orientations are computed from the initial feather orientations using a novel technique called recursive collision detection. The image on the left shows feathers rendered according to the initial feather orientations. The feathers interpenetrate each other. Many feathers also penetrate into the bird's body, shown as a yellow surface. The image on the right shows feathers rendered according to the final feather orientation, and there is no interpenetration. Now let's show some results. The feather on the left is a real feather. The feather on the right is a synthetic feather modeled and rendered using our system. The synthetic feather looks fairly realistic. Here we show an eagle modeled and rendered using our system. All feathers in this American Indian headdress are also modeled and rendered using our system.
Here is the view from the head-mounted display of a subject in the virtual environment. Overlaid in the upper left-hand corner are electrocardiograph, shown in red, and skin conductance, shown in green. As subjects perceive the danger in the next room, heart rate and skin conductance increase. It takes approximately 2 seconds from the time of stimulus to the onset of a physiological reaction. While it is difficult to distinguish the increase in heart rate visually, post-processing analysis shows that heart rate is significantly higher in the room with the 20-foot pit. In addition to the physiological responses, many subjects have strong behavioral reactions to the virtual environment, especially when combined with a 1.5-inch wooden ledge. Here we see a subject's reaction on her second time in the virtual environment. After multiple exposures to the virtual environment, subjects often habituate and become more comfortable. Here we see the same subject on her fourth time in the environment. Notice that she does not have a strong reaction to the virtual ledge.